Welcome to the Dr. Joe Show. I am Joe, and to those of you who've been watching, as you know, I have missed, I think, a couple of days. We were going for the 365 reviews in 1 year, and being myself, of course, I'm usually a pretty good planner, but I did not foresee certain circumstances and events of natural occurrence that would prevent one from doing a cigar review. One of them being giant snowstorms. I have blisters on my hands from shoveling, and the other being catching a cold, getting sick. I had a cold for, it actually lasted only a day, but for that day, and pretty much it was probably due to being out in the cold and shoveling and all of that. And I just had a very stuffed up, runny nose and everything, and to do a cigar review in that condition would just be a lie, So instead of try and force, maintaining my record and all that, I decided, I have to just throw in the towel, can't do it. However, it doesn't mean we're going to give up doing as many cigar reviews as we can in 1 year. And I'll probably keep putting the number, I'll just be putting the number of the episode or whatever. It doesn't matter. The challenge has been broke. But you can look forward to a lot of cigar reviews. I'm going to try to keep it going every day. And if I can't, whatever. I miss a day here, I miss a day here. I probably, might be a good idea to do, 4 reviews, 5, and then take 2 days to recuperate and, whatever. But, it does take a lot. Either way, it doesn't matter. We're still going to have a load of fun. We're still going to learn a lot. We're still going to smoke a ton of cigars. So today, as you know, every time I choose a cigar, and this is going to happen a lot in the beginning since it's our first series of reviews, every time I choose a cigar, if it's of a different brand, we do a little bit of brand history, not going too deep or anything, but just some main points, some interesting facts and stuff like that. There are a lot of brands out there, so there are a lot of times, that we'll be doing this, and I think it's great because it really helps the people that your cigars are coming from. There's a story behind every brand. And some to me are more interesting than others. Some connect with me more than others. As I'm sure a lot of it doesn't mean, you shouldn't love your cigar based just on, what the brand image is. If you do, you could be smoking terrible cigars. It doesn't, really matter how cool they look, But that's advertising, that's attraction, and of course a lot of it is factual, so it's cool to know. So we're going to do a brand today that we have not done before, so we are going to do a little bit of brand history, but we're going to light up fairly quickly because it's a big cigar, and I want to have time to discuss everything I want to discuss. During this particular show, we're also going to get a little into what I told you before in the last show, different types of tobacco, different types of wrappers, different terms when it comes. There are hundreds of terms in the whole cigar industry, cigar hobby, cigar enthusiasm, cigar passion, whatever you want to call it. There are hundreds of terms, and many of those terms are related to the type of tobacco we're smoking. So there are a lot of questions, and there are a lot of answers. So we're going to get a little bit into that. I assure you we're not going to cover it all by any means because it is a huge, huge topic that can get exceptionally deep. Really deep. I mean, I believe, I know quite a bit about, different strains, different types of tobacco and everything, but even when I went online to start taking my notes, affirming my knowledge, making sure what I'm saying is going to be factual, adding a few things I didn't know, I think I counted 16 web pages open. I mean, and that was just to make sure this, make sure that. It's huge. And I think we'll get into it further and further as the show develops, and that's what's cool about this. We're doing more than just reviewing a cigar. And of course, if you're not interested in it and you just want to know the review, you can skip to the end and see what we scored it. But I think everybody can learn. I've been smoking about over 12 years, 13 years, worked in a cigar shop for about 5 years, and I still learn something every day, especially from doing these episodes. When I do I pride myself on the fact that I know a little bit about just about every brand I can think of. Some brands I know a hell of a lot about. Other brands I may just know a couple of little nuggets of information, just as a few points. That maybe I don't smoke it that much. It's not a cigar that is that interesting to me, but I still know a few things because you have to when you're selling cigars, especially the taste and flavor and stuff like that. But as brand history goes, you may only need to know. Oh well, this cigar is a Dominican cigar. And the tobacco, the blend is blah blah blah. But when I do brands that I'm not too familiar with, I get a lot of information from taking all my notes and writing them down and then getting it into a format where I can talk to the camera and make people understand, and I'm reciting it again. So I always walk away from doing these episodes with more information in my head than I had before I started. And that's true to me about every episode. So I know that even guys out there who've been doing this for a while, if you're obsessed with learning everything you can, you're gonna learn something. You're gonna know something you didn't know before, and that's cool. But anyway, this brand we're talking about, Gurkha, is really divided as far as loyalty and appreciation goes for the cigar brand among the cigar community. You have one half who feels, well, Gurkha. I mean, they make 8 billion different sub brands. They make boxes, cigar boxes that look like works of art, antique furniture, or missile silos or whatever the hell. They have double bands, triple bands, footer bands that are 2 inches long and covered in gold, and their appearances, some people would even go so far as to call it gaudy, and some people even go further to say that's all the brand is about. It's just about looking cool and all that. Then there are the other side who really actually love these cigars and say they make really good cigars, and that's just the way they present things is just part of the brand image, and just like a lot of brands out there, they're very different from other brands. So I myself will say I smoked quite a few Gurkha cigars, and they do make, after seeing thousands of different types of cigar boxes and brand art and stuff, they really do make probably the most amazing boxes I've ever seen. But today, on the Dr. Joe Show, we're going to find out if they actually do make good cigars. And like I said before, if I could probably do 100 episodes just smoking Gurkha cigars. This brand has more sub-brands, and I think this is a fact, I'm going to say it. This brand has more sub-brands than any other freaking cigar brand on the market. It's just unbelievable, So today, we're going to be smoking the Gurkha Cellar Reserve, and this particular size is a 7-inch by 54 ring gauge, dubbed Prisoner. Sounds scary, actually, but either way, we're going to talk a little bit about it as we light it up and smoke it, and then later on we'll start talking about some tobacco terminology. Let's take a closer look at the cigar, shall we? Okay, so we're back with the Gurkha Cellar Reserve Prisoner, 7 inches long by 54 millimeter ring gauge, and lengthwise it's the length of a Churchill and the girth of a Toro, or maybe a Robusto Extra. I don't know what to call this, a Churchill Gorda, or a Toro Extra, something. I don't know the factory shape really. But anyway, the blend we got, it's a Dominican Puro, and it's a Criollo 98 wrapper with Criollo 98 filler that has been aged 15 years, and a Dominican Olor binder. We can get more into those terms later, but it is a Dominican Puro. I was on a website earlier where they're selling these things, and they said it has Dominican and Nicaraguan filler. I don't think that's right. According to the company, it's Dominican only, so I don't know. But you'll always find discrepancies, always. The band is interesting because it's very different than most Gurkha bands. Most Gurkha bands feature the Gurkha Nepalese Warrior, and this one is more like a wine or liquor label. It says aged 15 years, Dominican Puro. It has a batch number, quantity. It actually has blend strength, 97.6%. Now, I don't know if that's just for, like, you know, to show how full it is, but I've never heard of there being a way to actually measure the strength of a cigar down to 1/100%. It's kind of very odd to me. So, again, like Gurkha is always with their, you know, flashy image and everything, I think they even make up things like this as little, I have no idea where they get that. So, authentic mark of honor, and then it has a little description of the cigar. We can read that later once I remove the band. Half of it's hidden under it because it's wrapped around. No matter how big this thing is, I don't think they'll be able to show the whole thing. It's like a paragraph on there. And so that's that. Why don't we get to cutting it up and smoking it? So here we are, and we are about to cut and light our Gurkha Cellar Reserve. Taking it out of the cellophane, immediately I got a wonderful, sweet, chocolatey aroma from the wrapper, and the foot is more sour. It has a very sweet and sour smell. Not in a bad way, you know, it just has this soury type smell. It smells good. Little spice, you could tell because I got it right up the nose. So why don't we cut it and give it a little pre-draw there. Let me get myself some matches. Oh, cat popped off very nicely. Nutty. Nutty, earthy, a little woody. It's got a little bit of everything on the base there. A little bit of a sour taste, but not bad. Some naturally sweet notes. A bit cocoa-y. Interesting pre-draw. A little spice. A lot of flavors going on in the pre-draw. Some of them are very subtle. The overall flavor is a sweet nuttiness. Nice. Well, let's roast it up. There we go. A lot of leather on the light there. Very leathery. A bit woody, very leathery. Some good salt. A little bit of that sourness. Almost like a slight twang. A lot of leathery notes in the back of the palate. Dangerously close to being a little bitter. But right now, I would say it's mostly leathery. Smoke is pretty wispy. Not very creamy, not very dense. Burn so far is evening it out very, very nicely. Smoking a lot. Notice that some cigars smoke more than others when they're not being drawn on. It's giving off a lot of smoke. Yeah. It's a leathery, woody, tiny bit of spice, not too spicy. Cocoa-y sweetness kind of on the nose there. It's got a very sweet, perfumey aroma. Kind of different. Nice saltiness. Very nice meaty tobacco flavor. Just let it rest a tiny bit, see what else we come up with. But so far it's interesting. It's very leathery on the light. Not bitter though, but it came very close. You know, I say a cigar starts to get bitter. Leatheriness you get a lot on the back of the palate. And the further back and toward the sides it gets, the closer it is to being that bitter thing that makes you go, eh. You know? A very strong leatheriness will come very close to that. And then if it goes over, it's just bitter. But it's not bitter. And the leatheriness is now toning out. Coming in with a lot of salt and little spice. A little bit of the in there. Nice burn. Got a nice feel to it. It's lighter than it looks. Very sweet, sweet perfumey aroma. I like that. All right. Why don't we go over a little bit of Gurkha brand history?